Hello, Internet. My name is Christoph Waltz, two-time Academy Award winner and professional Austrian. When approached for a role in this movie, I was reluctant, given that I have a track record for playing urbane and verbose characters, and the dialogue in this film is shit. However, after the arrival of a truckload of cash, I was induced by motives mercenary and otherwise to accept the role of John Harrison, otherwise known as Franz Oberhauser, otherwise known as Khan Noonien Singh, otherwise known as Ernst Stavro Blofeld. You may be asking, Herr Waltz, at which point did you realize that this was a garbage nightmare dumpster fire of a movie? Well, it may have occurred when I saw it for the first time and realized that nothing happened, except for some high-technology trepanation, the exploration of a continuing series of father-related issues on the part of the main character, and the unceasing exploration of the tension between a moral conscience and the life of a professional assassin. In conclusion, what I would like to say is this: Quentin, my Oscars and I are waiting for your next script. Auf Wiedersehen.
You know, I didn't need to see this movie. I saw the trailer, which spoiled the big villain reveal, so I had that going against it. I watched one review of it, and their complaints largely lied in the script, and anyone with their salt will tell you that a bad script automatically makes a bad movie, so I had that going against it. I watched another review of it, and that review spoiled the main twist of the movie, so I had that going against it. But you know what? I bought my tickets, I saved the date, and by God, I was going to have some fun with my family. And I'm not asking for sympathy or for any kind of special recognition, only pretentious asshats do that. No, I'm just making it clear that I didn't need to see this movie because I wanted to see this movie. And I wanted to see this movie because I wanted to continue trying my best to give the movie the benefit of the doubt and see if maybe, just maybe, there will be something about it that still made it somewhat worth watching. And you know what? There was. One thing, just one thing, made the entire movie tolerable, and it was the music. The music in this movie deserves to be in a better movie because the music was trying its damnedest to make this piece of crap watchable. Therefore, the music is the only good thing I can say about this movie. Everything else... This is going to be a sit, people. Like many movie buffs, I grew up with the original James Bond films, as in the Sean Connery James Bond films, which are still the only real James Bond films in my opinion. I like the gadgets, I like the cars, I like the fight scenes, I like the chicks with a really silly name, but I'm not married to the old-fashioned James Bond. In fact, the first James Bond film I can remember seeing in theaters was GoldenEye, the first film to star Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, and I still like it. And then when Casino Royale came out, I was very, very impressed with it. And I've been impressed with Daniel Craig as James Bond ever since. He really does make a really good James Bond. And he may not have been the classical, tech-savvy James Bond from the originals, but he was still a version of James Bond that was relatively entertaining. But now, after already stating that he's done playing James Bond, and after watching the latest James Bond, I really hate to say it, but this has to be the absolute worst James Bond movie that I have ever seen. And I don't say it's the worst James Bond film ever, because I have not seen all the James Bond films, at least not yet. But of the ones that I have seen, even the ones that are considered bad are still at least enjoyably bad. This one? Where do I even start? Let's start with what this film tries to accomplish and fails. Just like every other studio out there right now, everyone is trying to imitate what Marvel Studios is doing. as in they're trying to make movies that create a wider, bigger, larger-than-life universe to work other movies around. Spectre does the exact same thing. Rather than trying to tell its own interesting, coherent story, it decides to take all the other Daniel Craig Bond movies and mush them together into a single universe, despite them never having thought of this in the first place. This is a cinematic equivalent of trying to bake a chocolate souffle despite you never having made one before and having already made 3 perfectly good chocolate cakes. Well, okay, 1 good chocolate cake, 1 chocolate cake that has too much sugar, and 1 chocolate cake that's taking way too long to bake. The story, if we can call it that, follows James Bond investigating a secret organization known as Spectre. Upon his investigation, he discovers that they have successfully infiltrated MI6 and are now looking to take over the world by privatizing itself and promoting constant security surveillance all over the... Wait a minute. A secret government defense organization is unknowingly infiltrated by an even more secret and evil version of itself in an attempt to take over the world by privatizing itself, encouraging constant surveillance, and establishing a new world order. That's the Winter Soldier. That is the entire premise of the Winter Soldier. Okay, you know what? It was bad enough that this movie tried to be its own Marvel movie, but it's even worse that it just blatantly rips off the premise of the best Captain America movie ever. How dare you, Sony? How dare you make your laziness so incredibly blatantly obvious? No, I'm not gonna calm down. This is just ridiculous. Not only is this a blatant ripoff of Winter Soldier, it's a horrible movie all around. The cinematography is terrible, the direction is dead, the acting is lame, the action scenes are boring, the special effects are god-awful, and the writing is just so horrendous. And I really want to tell you the main reason as to why this writing is so horrible, but that means spoiling the big twist. So you know what? I'm going to give you all a very polite spoiler warning. Here it is. Christoph Waltz plays Bloomfield. He's Bond's adopted brother. He hates Bond because he thought that his father liked Bond more than him. That is the absolute stupidest thing I have ever seen or heard in a James Bond movie. They could not have made a more dumb, stupid, inane twist than if they got M. Night Shyamalan high on mushrooms and recorded his dreams. This is just the biggest insult to action movie fans, to James Bond fans, and to fans of Daniel Craig as James Bond. And it is especially insulting to fans of Christoph Waltz. And the only thing worse than how incredibly god-awful this movie is the fact that because it's the only Bond action movie out right now, it's still gonna make a ton of money, and that means in a few short years, we can look forward to Sam Mendes spending another 2.5 hours not getting James Bond! Guys, I'm very sorry that I got so crazy, but you have to understand that they had the potential to do something very cool with this new series, and instead, they just decided to do what everyone else is doing right now and try to be Marvel. Not only that, no one involved seems to have cared about the quality, which is actually even worse. Folks, I sit here before you, a tired and annoyed lover of movies and critic of movies, who is now hanging on to the thin thread that Star Wars The Force Awakens is going to be good. It is no longer required to be good, it is morally obligated to be good. So, Mr. Abrams, all I have to say to you right now is that your new Star Wars movie had better be f***ing fantastic, or you're gonna pay the price. Yes, mark my words. You're going to pay the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I am TheNorm. Thank you all for watching.